Okay, we can stop that now. Right. Cape Town, 1987. What was happening in Cape Town in 1987 was that there were 30,000 people every month coming to Cape Town looking for work. Where do they come from? Well, not many from KZN, but it's a lot from the Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, from Free State, some from further afield, but 30,000 people every month. That's 360,000 people in a year. Now, 1987 was not a great year economically. It was towards the end of the apartheid era. There were sanctions in place from around the world. The economy was starting to be put under severe pressure. So therefore, there were no jobs. So it sounds sort of familiar. We've learned to live in a country where we keep saying that to each other. There are no jobs. Who's going to create jobs? Well, that was happening in 1987. And these 30,000 people every month would come and they would, of course, look for work and they'd look around. And when they got there, they found there was no work. So what did they do? What do you do when you come from the Free State, when you come from the Eastern Cape and you've used all your money to get to Cape Town because you believe there is ukusebenza there and then there is none? They squatted. And they squatted, of course, in the wrong places so that everybody wished they would just disappear. It's not nice to say that about people, but that's the truth. The city council didn't like the fact that these people were squatting right near our airport. So you can imagine, we get some tourists from Japan or Germany or Britain or America or wherever, and the tourists come, they arrive in Cape Town, and the first thing they see is squatter camps. Not so good for tourism, but also the local people. I'm talking about the people who lived in Yanga, Langa, Guguletu, Khayelitsha, also wish they would disappear because suddenly there were these people who were competing for the same jobs. And there were no jobs. There were just a few jobs. So you can imagine, it was a big problem. So we started by getting a group of people together. We had a feeling that people can be taught to do something for themselves. Okay, that was the basic premise that we started on. Nobody's going to give these people jobs. Somehow people have got to take responsibility for what we call their own economic destiny. That's what's got to happen. Unless that happens, they've got no hope. So I saw this somewhere and it hit the nail on the head. Way back in those days, I've had it for a long time, this little slide. I believe in self-reliance, but I usually need someone to help me to rely on myself. Because very often between where I am and where I want to be, there's a skills deficit. There's something missing. There's some skills that I need in order to be where I want to be. And most times that needs to come from outside of myself. I can't just look inside of myself and say, I think I'll start a business today. A lot of people do that and then they fail. And the reason that they fail isn't because they're stupid or because they can't sow or they can't grow cabbages or whatever they're doing. The reason they fail is because they don't have the business skills. Anyway, so we started 1987, yeah. And we developed a training course. It took 6 weeks. In that training course, we actually taught people some vocational skills. We taught people how to sew. We taught people how to make sheepskin slippers. There was a time we did some welding, decorating T-shirts, beadwork, a whole lot of things. And we also taught them business skills. And we were fortunate in one way, because it was 1987 in Cape Town, South Africa, at the end of the apartheid era, we were seen to be doing something that people overseas thought was a good thing. Are you with me? So the people in Holland and people in Germany and in Denmark and America actually were enthusiastic about what we were doing, and they gave us money to do what we were trying to do. But they wanted to have reports. They wanted feedback. And when we started looking and what's happening to people after we trained them, and we followed them up for 6 or 9 months, we found that we had between 20 and 23% success rate. Okay. Now, I'm hoping that you are wise enough to be making 1 or 2 notes, because when you come on the 7th of April and we come together for the first day, I'm going to be asking you, what do you remember about the history of Micro-MBA? Fair enough. I'll make this recording available if you want to. You can watch it again or not. I don't mind if you do or if you don't. But this is quite good for you to know about, because when you're offering Micro-MBA, at some point you're going to go to somebody and say, will you sponsor some people? Will you do this? Will you do that? And they're going to say to you, amongst other things, they're going to say, where does this course come from?
What do you know about it?
Yes, what do you know about it? I mean, it's, you know, so this is the background to it. And we found that only about 20% of people were still running their own small businesses about 9 months after the training. And we were very unhappy about it. So one of the things we did actually was we went to the people who were sponsoring us. There was an organization called USAID, USAID, and there was a big British organization which changed its name several times over the years. And we said to them, help us. You support people all over the world who are doing this kind of thing. What are we doing wrong? They were very kind to us. They said, no, you're not doing anything wrong. We actually use you as an example of what they call best practice. When we talk to people in other parts of the world, we say, this is what these people in Cape Town are doing, and look how good it is. They said, but there's 20% success rate. And they said, but that's normal. That was their response. They said, you know, in Great Britain, in England, 80% of first-time businesses failed in the first year. So what do you expect in the informal sector in Cape Town? But we were unhappy. We didn't want to invest all that time and use up all their money and have a low success rate. So we tried to find other business courses. Because what we discovered when we went to visit the people is that there wasn't anything wrong with their basic skills. They could make beautiful sheepskin slippers. They could make lovely dresses. And you say, how's Inkle, Mama? And then you would say, Imali, how much do you charge for it? And the minute you start having that conversation, you would find that this lady did not use any of the business skills that we taught her on the course. She learned how to sew, and she's happy that she can sew. But when it comes to charging for her things or looking after her money or looking after her stock, she didn't know what to do. And I took a long time to understand that. I thought, why? You're coming on this course because you say you want to run your own business, and they're teaching you how to do that, but you're not doing it. You're just ignoring all the business skills that we're teaching you. Why? And I realized that these ladies and these men who were on the course were just like Cedric. When I was in matric, I did not study to get an education. I studied to get a piece of paper called a matric certificate. That's all I was worried about. I wasn't particularly interested in education. And the reason I wanted that bit of paper was I wanted to go to that big building up on the hill called UCT, because I wanted to get a more important bit of paper from them so that I could get a better job. I mean, that was what it was about. So I'll tell you for free, I've got lots of stories, and this is not one of the better ones, but the truth is that when I was writing matric, I wrote my final English exam on a Thursday, and I went home and I began to study for my geography exam, my final exam, which was the next day. And by 8 o'clock that evening, I knew I was in trouble. You know how it is, hey, and you're trying to remember all this stuff, and you're making notes, and you're trying to repeat it, and you're saying it out loud, and it doesn't want to stick. And I went to the pharmacy, all night chemist, and I bought some tablets called LERT, L-E-R-T, caffeine tablets. And I took the caffeine tablets, and I studied the whole night. And I went and I wrote my final geography exam. And I'm embarrassed to say, as I look back all those years, it's a lot of years, more years than you. Uh, I got a B for geography in matric. It's ridiculous. That's not education. Because if you asked me 1 month after the exam, what kind of farming do they do in Argentina? I'll say, I think
don't
that's in
know.
South America, I think.
You were just cramming grades.
Just cramming, just cramming. And you know what? When we were training these people in Cape Town, there was an incentive for them to answer questions correctly. They had to write a test to prove that they could do the costings and pricings and do all of that stuff. Why? Because if they didn't pass the test, they couldn't get the sewing machine. They could have a sewing machine which they could pay back over 24 months without interest, all right? And they could get the sewing machine and a whole lot of materials, or they could get a leather work kit with a whole lot of leather and glue and whatever they needed, or they could get welding equipment or whatever they needed, but they had to pass the test. So they passed the test, but the minute the test was gone, you can forget all about that rubbish about farming in Argentina. You understand? So they were just like me. So I can't criticize them. All I'm just saying is that they didn't use the business skills. So we thought we were doing something wrong. Let's find a business course. And we looked. I won't go into long story. I'm too easily go into long stories. But we looked everywhere. Honestly, we did. Amongst others, we went to Potchefstroom University because they had a thing called Small Business Advisory Bureau. The head of that was called Ferdi Preller, and there was Professor Mullman. And they took this course and they ran with it. And they started using what we developed because their course was much too complicated for ordinary people. That's what we discovered, okay? So we then said, okay, let's have a look at what's the difference between the people who succeed and the people who fail. Let's not just put together some sort of course and try and tell people what to do if we don't have a clue what really works and what doesn't work. So we went and we just visited people. And I'm guessing, I don't remember the numbers, so I don't want to lie to you, but it must have been close on 400 people, close on. That a team of 8 of us visited over a period of about 6 weeks. We just went out and we had lists and we went to see the people that we trained and we asked them some questions and we found an interesting thing that happened. The people who succeeded were doing some things. Whether they learned them from us or not, it didn't really matter, but the successful people had found a gap in the market. The people who didn't succeed tended to copy each other. Have you noticed that? In your community, maybe, or in communities that you've seen? Somebody starts, I don't know, a spaza shop, and they're doing quite well. And then suddenly down the road, there's another spaza shop because people say, oh, that's how you get money, that's how you get it. And then you look at what are they selling? And you know what's crazy? Is that shop down the road is selling all the same things as this shop over here. Instead of being different, they want to be the same. The lady who learns how to sew, she's got a market where she's selling tracksuits to school children. Guess what? Here comes Asanda. She learns to sew. And now Asanda says, what shall I make? This mama, look at what she's doing. She's making tracksuits. I must make tracksuits too. And then along comes Mandisa and she says, Asanda's making tracksuits, I must also make. And suddenly everybody's making tracksuits. Why? Because the concept of finding a gap is not integral, is not there, it's not part of the culture. We talk about Ubuntu and Ubuntu and Gemantu, Ubuntu Kebatu. It depends on which particular language you speak. And we somehow are part of a community and we want to kind of fit in. We don't want to be different. So we developed a little system where people can discover how to find a gap. You must be able to answer this question. What are you going to sell? And then you must ask the most important question that you could ever ask before you open a business. Who will buy from you?
Exactly.
If you don't have a customer, you don't have a business. It doesn't matter what the organization says. It doesn't matter what, I don't know, do you know Justine Products or Golden Products, or there's a whole Tupperware, there's a whole range of things where they come and they do a presentation and they show you how people became millionaires, and all you have to do is sign up and bring 2,000 Rand and then you sign up your friends. Oh, shame. And people start running away from you because you keep on nagging them to join.
Asking for money.
Hey, boy. Hey, boy.
Smart ain't, I want my money. Please pay my money.
Who will buy from you? Who will buy from you? And then you can start saying, where will you run your business? Where will you run your business? And then you can start saying, how am I going to let people know what I'm doing? I can be the best hairdresser in the world, but if nobody knows it, I'm not going to have any customers. Okay, so those are the 4 questions that you're going to find in book 1 of the course, because everything hangs on that. And it doesn't matter what you're selling. It doesn't matter what you're selling. If you are selling the gospel, you're a preacher, you better know what you're selling. And you better go to the right people, otherwise you're going to preach to the converted. Are you with me? Who will buy from me? Where will I run my business? Think about it. Pastors going into new areas. You know, if I've got a teaching ministry, what am I doing here? I'm trying to be an evangelist, and I'm not really an evangelist, etc. Do you understand the point I'm making?
Yes.
How will you tell people what you have? Okay, so that's the first main difference between the successful people and the people who didn't succeed in their business. That's what we found. Not in theory, not in a university somewhere, in real life. Okay. Then we found something else. The second main difference between the successful people and the people who failed had to do with this thing called costing and pricing. Two things. How do I know what to charge for these things that I'm selling or the service that I'm offering? How do I know? Do I just say, what do other people charge and charge the same? How do I know? And linked to that, very important, how do I know whether I'm succeeding or not? Because I must have in my mind as a business person every month that I need to sell so many sets of Micro-MBA material. If I, as Cedric, if I don't, I can't take any money out of the business because there is no money for me to take. If I achieve less than that. Now that's real for me. I've got to know what that number of books is. I've got to know. I've got to know how many trainers I need to train in a month if I need to have some income to live on. I'm not embarrassed to say that. I'm not doing what I'm doing for money. When you come on the course, I will tell you some stories. You will soon understand that I've got a much different motivation for what I'm doing. But if I don't make money, I can't go doing what I'm doing. And my partner and I, Lindsay, eventually opened an online pet supply store in the middle of 2020 because I was not making any money at all. Nobody was training during COVID. ToT wasn't training. You know, I wasn't training during COVID. They couldn't. For the first part of COVID, nothing happened. We started this online store supplying pets, food, and collars and leads and toys and whatever, and it's still going today. So at the moment, trying to run two businesses. But the reason for that is because the gap closed. Are you with me? You understand the language I'm using? There was a gap. People needed what I was offering. And then suddenly, boom, comes big, bad COVID. And Uncle Cyril stands up and says, everybody stay at home. But how are we going to earn? You stay at home because the health system is going to collapse. Remember that? Horrible. All right. So now we come to costing and pricing, and we've discovered here is a big problem. I learned for the first time when we did our research, I learned this truth, and it's true in 2022. And you will find that as people come to you, you will have some people who have already started small businesses. And when you start asking them, what is your markup? You're buying and you're selling oranges on the side of the road. Whatever you're doing. You're buying and you're selling cell phone chargers. You whatever you're selling, okay? I want to tell you with great confidence, 100% sure, that if you are a small business and if you make a markup of less than 50% as a trader, you will fail. It'll take you a month or two maybe, or it might take you a week or two, you might last 3 or 4 months, but you will fail. You cannot sell enough stuff if your markup is too low, if you don't make enough profit on every single thing that you sell, which is why nobody makes a living out of selling Tupperware, Justine, Golden Products, or GNLD now it's called, all those things. Nobody makes a living out of what they sell. They only make a living out of conning their friends into joining so they get residual income from what their friends also sell. You know what I'm talking about. You've all been there. Right.
Once
Traders
upon a time, I was the Avon representative.
No, of course. No, people inevitably in a culture like ours, in a country like ours, where there's a high unemployment rate, most people find themselves dabbling with that, and then they start playing with Bitcoin, and they try to do other things, and they can't afford it, but they do it anyway, and then they get into more trouble financially, and blah 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 blah. You know. Here's a problem. A producer, somebody who makes things to sell, if they make less than 100% markup on the cost of their raw materials, they will fail. Okay. Now, those 2 bits of information have lived with me since 1988. And they haven't changed. Every now and again, I ask some questions and people say, no, you can't just make 100% markup. You have to make 300% markup. And I say, yeah, that's probably true. But do you agree that anybody who makes less than 100% markup as a producer, and nobody has said you're wrong? Nobody. It's very interesting. So there we go. I say here almost always fail, but the truth is you will fail. I'm being polite. So the first difference between the successes and the failures is this gap story. The second is the costing and pricing. And the third is money management, cash flow management, not bookkeeping, not accounting. If you are a good bookkeeper, the possibility is that you probably are not a natural entrepreneur anyway. Bookkeepers are not risk takers. Accountants are not risk takers. An entrepreneur has got to be somebody who will take an occasional risk, hopefully a good risk, but they will do that. I do that. I drive Lindsay crazy because I take risks. And she says, no, but we haven't got enough money in the bank to buy this or to pay for that, you know, and she's right. But if we don't, I found that if you don't spend the money, you don't make the money. So now you've got to invest in order to get, you've got to have stock in order to sell stock. And it gets tough around here sometimes, eh? Cash flow. And you'll find a little form, a big form in your pack. It's an A3 size sheet, which says weekly money management. And that's all the bookkeeping that you learn in Micro-MBA. So coming to the last slide then, this is what we ended up with. Developed between 1988 and 1993, we ended up with something called a competency-based course. I'm not going to tell you now how that came about because I promised not to keep you too long. But what competency-based means is that you don't get a pass mark in this course. Most exams have got a pass mark. You know, you get 50%, these days 30% in some things, you pass.
Okay.
Maybe sometimes you've got to get 80%. In Micro-MBA, if you really want to know what the pass mark is, the pass mark is 100%. But it's not difficult to get 100% because you're working at your own pace through a set of simple workbooks, and you want to learn to run your business properly. So you don't want to go on to the next book if you're not sure about what's happened in this last book. So you talk to your facilitator before you go on to the next book. Okay, that's how it works. And it's a 5-day course, very simple, doesn't take long. It's learner-driven, not teacher-driven. So you're not coming onto this course to learn how to lecture. You're not coming onto my course to learn how to do PowerPoint presentations. I will use PowerPoint presentations. I will show you videos, and there will be some videos that you will find useful when you're training people because they will encourage the people, they will help the people, all of that. But you're not, you are there to help people to teach themselves. It's a learner-driven process. So people will work either through some workbooks, or they'll work on their apps, on their cell phones. They will work through book one. Boom, 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 boom. Now, when you start tomorrow, and I'm hoping that you will start tomorrow, what I want you to do is I hope that you've been able by now to download Micro-MBA mobile app. Mandisa, have you been able to do that from the Google Play Store?
Yes, I was.
You have, okay, excellent. Asanda, Mtoko is going to help you to get access to a headset that you can use, and so you'll be able to do that. What I'd like you to do, starting tomorrow, work through book one on your handset. Now, part of the reason that I'm doing this is I'm not going to explain to you how to go about starting to work through the book. I want you to download the book, and I want you to work it out. I want you to go and look at the app and say, okay, where do I start? Book one. Okay. Now, where do I go? What buttons do I press? Just work it out for yourself. If you're stuck, contact me.
Okay.
All right. And I'll help you. And if I can't help you, I'll ask Dave to help you. Got that? Okay.
Okay.
When you finish book one, you're going to go to, here we go. This meeting has been recorded. Okay, got it. Now, what I want to do is, what do I do here? I say share. Okay, while other participant is sharing, I'm going to stop sharing this one over here. And I'm going to go to, sorry, I've lost my other screen. I think I must stop sharing, and then you can share. Okay. Sorry. Where do I stop sharing? Stop video, not stop video. No. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry, guys. Stop share. There we go. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to share this. Screen start now. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So now we're going to go to Micro-MBA mobile. And we're going to open a book, and we're going to open book one. You will only have book one. You will not have anything else on your app. Book one, anybody in the world can download the app with book one free of charge. Okay. What you can do once you've got book one is you can say, okay, what's this? Tap here to find your gap with the Micro-MBA, and you can watch the YouTube video. Tap here to learn how to download videos on your device so that you can watch them offline. Now that's an important thing, because what it means is that the Micro-MBA app does not have to be connected to Wi-Fi or even to Vodacom or MTN or something. It doesn't have to be connected while you're working through the app. You have to have Wi-Fi or some connection in order to download the app, in order to download the video. But once you've done that, you can go anywhere and you can sit and work on it without using any data. So that's quite a good thing, isn't it? Okay. So now you're going to open up. Dave, you want to add anything?
Yeah, just very quickly. We have had queries about the interface of the app and why the graphics isn't a lot more exciting. And, you know, a lot of apps now have very fancy graphics.
Yes.
Just explain that the system has been designed to work on 6 to 7-year-old cell phones.
Yes.
Because a lot of the target market do not have the latest phones.
Yes.
So that's why the interface is the way it is. But it's also been designed like this so that it works very easily offline.
There you go.
Which was the point you were making.
Thank you very much. And Dave, I would encourage you, please keep on chipping in. I need that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So far, okay, guys? Everybody okay? Asanda?
Yes.
Yes. Doko, you okay? Okay. Now we
Sounds good.
Okay. Now we open a book, and you tick there. Boop. Open a book, and you go to. You've only got book 1, so now you're opening book 1. You selected book 1. Okay. Now you go and you do what, Dave? Workbook 1. By the end of this workbook, you will know. What will you know? You click on that. Open with what? Oh, you better open with Adobe Acrobat Reader. So if you haven't got the reader, you might have to download it. Okay, opening. No, sorry about that. I should have got this ready beforehand, but there you go. So now it'll tell you what you will know. By the end of this workbook, you will know what you are planning to sell, who will buy from you, where you will operate your business, and how you're going to sell your goods or services. Okay, that's fair enough. So now I go back, and I go back to my home screen. I close this, and I go to mobile. What am I going to sell? 3 tips on how to read a PDF using Acrobat Reader on a small screen. If you're having trouble reading what I just showed you, click on here and it'll tell you just over there, 3 tips on how to read. You can go and say, how do I do it? Okay, I'm not going to show that to you now. Introduction, read the introduction. Then we come to the first question. What am I going to sell? And you work through the book. Figure it out. Just figure it out. When you get to the end of the book, all you have to do is to click over here where it says update answers. Now that's after you've completed the whole book, okay? Before moving on to workbook 2, read through these thoughts, read it. The addendum, read it. Now click on update answers. Micro-MBA mobile, send your answers to your trainer. Okay, click on Yebo, yes. Now what do you see? Oh, where's my trainer? Who's my trainer? I want you to share with me, please. Don't inundate Dave with a whole lot of stuff. He doesn't need it. He's got lots of other stuff to do. Me, I sit around doing nothing all day. So you share it with me. Over there, Cedric Buffler. Share with Cedric Buffler. Okay, there we go. This version of WhatsApp needs to be updated in 2 days. I'm not going to update right now. Okay. Then when it comes here, you will see that your little book has appeared. And you can send me a message. Hi, Cedric. I enjoyed the book. I thought it was a waste of time. Whatever you want to say, you say it over there, and I will see the WhatsApp. When it gets to me, I'm not going to go through the details of that part now, but when it gets to me, it gets quite exciting, because when it does get to me, I can eventually import it into an Excel spreadsheet that's got correct model answers on it. And your answers pop up next to the answers on the Excel spreadsheet. So I don't have to be all that clever. I just say, okay, what are they supposed to be saying here? Okay, yes, that's right. And I can check, do your answers more or less agree with these things? And if everything's fine, I will say, righto, Dave, please send us under the next workbook. The first 2 workbooks, you must please work through on your cell phone. You are going to receive in the meantime your packs. Read the letter, do whatever, but work through these things on your app so that you get used to using the app in the future. It's going to be the thing that you use much more than workbooks. At the moment, we're still very much in a workbook culture, and you will be training people at Yeehaw with using workbooks, so there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm trying to prepare you for your future and for the best possible future for your learners. So then you must be confident about how the app works and all of that. Now, workbook 2 is a bit longer than workbook 1, but it's not difficult. It's really not. But workbook 2 will open up a lot of things, because you then will be using a little app inside the mobile app. All right? And to use that app, you don't have to do anything. You just open workbook 2 and you answer the questions by pressing the right buttons. You say 3 + 2 = 5. And you just keep on working. And then eventually it does not so easy anymore, because now you're talking about percentages. Okay, and you're talking about markups, and you're talking about discounts. Words that you know. It's nothing very difficult, but important for you to understand. So please don't take any shortcuts with workbook 2. All right? And when you finish workbook 2, press update workbook and send it to your trainer. That's me at the moment. You say, Cedric, one day when you offer the mobile MBA, your clients will say, oh, I must send this to Mtoko. I must send this to Asanda. I must send this to Mandisa. And when Mandisa gets it, she will say, okay, that's easy. Now I just do this and I do that and I get it into the Excel spreadsheet. Don't worry about how all that happens. This is not important now. But the correct answer is all there. And your client's answers appear next to the correct answers. So it's easy for you to check. And easy for you to make sure they've answered all the questions. They haven't just skipped some. All okay?
Okay.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so so that's the one app. Any questions about what I've said so far? Because I want to stop now. It's getting late.
No, it looks really clear.
Okay.
And we'll work on it as soon as we can, so that if we do have any questions, we'll notify.
Well done. Well done. Then there's another app that I told you about. Remember what
Yeah.
it was called?
The calculation.
BizCalc. BizCalc. BIZ-Calc.
It's
BizCalc.
Micro-MBA.
Micro-MBA BizCalc.
Those.
Now, the reason that I want you to download that is twofold. One, Yeehaw has paid for it. Don't want to waste their money. Not nice to do that. Not nice, not nice. All right. But
Thank you.
much more important than that. Much more important than that. Long before you start even perhaps training other people with a mobile app, you might decide straight after the trainer's course, hey, there are people in my family who are running their own business. They need to do this course. And therefore, I'm going to tell them to download Micro-MBA mobile and we're going to get going. And you might. I don't know what you're going to do. But if you don't do that part and you're still using the workbooks, which will happen for several years still, I'm sure. Here is a calculator which is a zing-zao, whammy, wonderful, much better than any calculator you've ever seen, because it does simple calculations, but it also keeps some simple records for you of your costing and pricing, of your money management, which is very valuable. If you know, depending on the memory of your cell phone, you're either going to sort of save them on there, or maybe you'll save them in the cloud, like some people do. When you've got Wi-Fi, when you're sitting where there is Wi-Fi, you will just save them so that you can, after a while, see what's happening in my business with the money. What's happening with the money week after week, month after month? Am I making it? Am I improving? Am I going down? And I will teach you how to do that on the trainer's course, okay? There's even a spreadsheet you can use for that. But this BizCalc app, I'll show you what it looks like. Can you still see my screen there?
Yes, you can. Okay.
So now I go Micro-MBA BizCalc. Okay. Oh dear. The last back up. Must I back this up, Dave? Can't hear you. Sorry.
Just click on back.
There we go. Okay. Thank you, sir. On the front of the BizCalc app, you will see some interesting things. If you just want to use a calculator, click the bottom one. It says calculate. Okay, that's simple. Just a calculator, a very simple calculator. Right, so you say 56 times what? I don't know, 45%. And you say 45% of 56 Rand is 25 Rand 20. Just like a normal 8-digit calculator, nothing wrong with that. But if you go back and if you're using workbooks, okay, then what you would do, the first thing you do is select a time frame. That's important because that's going to tell you what you're hoping to achieve. Select a time frame, week ending when? Week ending Sunday. Okay. Select a business type. Are you a trader? Are you a producer? Or are you a service provider? Click whichever one you are. Let's say you're a trader. Okay, so update that. Now, when I press costing, which is this one over there, second from the top, I won't be suddenly going into the costing for a service provider or the way that a producer. I'm going to go into the costing. Everything I do is going to have something to do with the way that traders must do their costing. So working capital, money for my business put aside from last week's. That's if I'm managing my money. Are you with me? If I don't want to manage my money, I might want to do something else. I might want to do stock control. So I press that button second from the top there, and it becomes stock control. If I press it again, it becomes costing. If I press it again, it goes back to money management. It's awesome. It really, you know, that's why I'm so happy that Dave has done what he's done. So costing, and then tap to add a new sales item. So description, whatever it is, I write it down, quantity, the price is so much, the item price is so much, markup, all of that stuff you will learn in the books. But now instead of having to write everything on pads and keep records in paper, you've got it all on the BizCalc app. There's one final thing I want to tell you about the BizCalc app. We go back over here, and then what do we do, Dave? We want to register the BizCalc app so that we can get the first year free of charge.
Yes. So
how do we do that?
Click on the menu.
We click on?
Sorry.
At top of the three things at the top there.
Yeah, the three things at the top there.
Okay, those three little dots
And
at the top.
manage your annual subscription.
And it says manage your annual subscription. Can you see that? Mandisa, can you see it?
Yes.
Manage your annual subscription. And it says subscription code. Send. Don't worry about activation code. Don't worry about anything. Just send, press send. Boom. Send it to who? The man over there.
Okay.
I would
To me.
suggest send it
To
via
me.
you, because I'm not going to be on there.
Okay.
Not there.
Right. Send it to me. Send it for, I'll forward it to Dave. He will release your subscription for the year. After the year, it's going to cost everybody who wants to be part of it $5 a year. Okay, that's what it costs. At the moment, we're just saying 85 Rand, just because the dollar keeps going up and down and whatever. So we charge you 85 Rand, just so sure. Okay, but you get it free for the first year because he has paid for it. So don't neglect to do that. Otherwise, after 2 weeks or so, it'll stop working. Got it? Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, all I wanted to show you as stocks, do you want to continue? Yes, I want to continue. What I wanted to show you was that over here, the first book was market investigation. The second book, was using, can you see it? Calculator, buying, costing and pricing. There are 8 workbooks altogether. These are the titles of the workbooks.
Cedric, I think you're still stuck on the calculator or the subscription code.
And now?
Okay, now we.
There's a magic button called share, which I hadn't pressed. Thank you. There are 8 different workbooks. They're either for traders or producers or service providers. Now that can be scary because it sounds like there should be 24 workbooks altogether, but 5 of the workbooks are exactly the same. Doesn't matter what kind of business you're running. So you guys have got 14 workbooks that you must work through between now and the 7th of April. If you work and you time yourself, it should not take you more than a maximum of 30 hours to work through those workbooks. I'm guessing that you are probably amongst the people who will take closer to 20 hours. I'm not timing you. I don't mind how long you take. I'm just giving you an idea that you mustn't leave this until the last minute and then say, okay, I'm going to work through the workbooks quickly. Start working on the app tomorrow and then do workbook 2. And then you can go and look at the books and see how that compares, and you'll see it's the same sort of process. When it comes to workbook 4 and workbook 7, I'm going to ask you to move back onto the app so that you can practice using those functions on the app, on the mobile app. Does that make sense to you? I will remind you. Don't worry, you don't have to remember all of this, but there they are. 8 workbooks for those different people, and we'll discuss on the course. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That's going on, but we'll discuss on the course, why don't we have isiZulu? Why don't we have isiXhosa? Why don't we have Sesotho? I'll tell you the long story about that. Don't worry about it now. At the moment, there are English workbooks. You will need to translate some things for your clients. Any questions about what we're talking about? Anything you want to ask? Anything you want to say? Are you excited? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. There's just a lot of information. There's just a whole lot of information at the moment, and that's a.
But it all sounds amazing.
It's better than amazing. It will be. I'm not being arrogant. I'm actually a reasonably humble person. I'm not always humble, but I strive to be humble. But the truth is, I get blown away. I do. I constantly get blown away by feedback, by people who tell me what happened in their lives, by people who tell me what happened in their clients' lives, because you are not going to have learners. You're not going to have trainees. You're going to have clients. You are a service provider. You're not going to tell them what to do. You're going to help them to discover for themselves what to do. You are there to serve them, not to be their boss. Like I'm here to serve you. I'm not here to be your boss. The only person who decides whether you get a trainer certificate or not is you. I tell you what the parameters are. I tell you that if you work through these 14 workbooks, you've taken the first step by the time you come onto the first day of the course. If you choose not to work through them, I'm not your daddy. I'm not going to beat you. I'm not going to shout at you. I'm not going to give you a certificate because you knew that if you didn't work through that, you won't be considered for a certificate. I don't make that decision. It makes it easy for me. I don't have to be the big bad person who makes those bad decisions. I just say it's up to you. You're an adult, and I'll treat you as such. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this time together. I am. I'm looking forward to getting your feedback as you work through the books. Register that BizCalc app. Do it today if you can. Start working on that first workbook. As soon as you've downloaded the app, do book one and just get a feel of, hey, you know what? This is not scary at all. It's actually, my aunt could do this. My gogo could do this. So many hundreds of thousands of people who've been through the course have been gogos. I wish there were more young men. Yeah. Listen, Dave, I'm listening.
I've WhatsApped you that flyer with the quotation from the chartered accountant. And also that links to, and I've also sent you a link to Roy Chihaka's video. Because I think, just to explain to everyone here, Roy Chihaka was the first guy to complete the Micro-MBA mobile course. And he gives a bit of a testimonial on how it worked for him.
Yeah.
But he also gets across that it's not a daunting course. It's a course you actually enjoy. So you could probably see them in your WhatsApp, Cedric, if you can just forward them to the group.
I am doing that, yes. I will forward them to the group. I'm not going to show them now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to forward it to you as a group so that you can then just look at that little video on YouTube from your cell phone. And I'm going to forward it as we speaking. It's going through to you now. The first Micro-MBA mobile graduate, the first one person ever to go through the mobile version of the course. It happened to be a Zimbabwean gentleman, but that's not relevant to the story. He is. And there's also an overview here. Did you just send me this overview, Dave? Yes. Overview of the Micro-MBA. Yes?
No, that has got the quote from the chartered accountant.
Yes.
And just to say he's late 20s. He's one of the, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in his year he was in the top 10 in South Africa.
Okay.
And
right,
I value his recommendation. He took one look at your accounting system and gave it a big tick.
Excellent. So it's worthwhile having a look at that. Okay, that is enough time for today, I think. Thank you for attending this meeting. I'm sorry it took even longer than I thought it would, but I hope it's been worthwhile, and I'm looking forward to getting your interaction. I'm looking forward to getting your feedback, and we're going to have a great time together. I'm looking forward to it very much.
Well, thank you so much, Cedric.
Hey,
thank you so much, Cedric. I'm gonna try and sort out Asanda tomorrow with an Android phone. So
thank you.
I will have the feedback for that.
Great.
So, but yeah, I think the brief is clear and forward. But ladies, please don't feel like you bothering Cedric if you send a WhatsApp if there's something that is not clear. But I think what is urgent right now is that other Android phone.
Yeah.
And David, sir, you in Pietermaritzburg, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
You are based in Durban.
Yeah. So I would like to, with your permission, to get your contact details from Cedric. We need to arrange a meeting sometime next week.
That would be great. I sort of missed Cedric's introduction, but did he say you were great in video production?
Yes, I did say that.
All right. Well,
I did say that, and I said it because it's true.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The videos I've produced are very amateur, but that's because from a funding point of view, that's what we were doing at the time. But I'd appreciate discussing that with you as well. I think we can make some big improvements.
Okay. No, perfect. Let's make that meeting happen. Thank you so much, ladies. I'm excited for this. And Cedric,
Yeah.
thank you so much again. I'm looking forward to see what we can do in Durban
Yeah, bo.
with you and the Micro-MBA.
Lovely. God bless you all. See you.
So,
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
bye, guys.
Cedric,
Yes,
just
yes,
before
yes.
you go, can you please share the slide or the video that you just recorded?
Yes, yes, that's a good idea. What I'll have to do is process it, as I think you know about that. It takes a while to sort of process on my computer, and then I will put it on the WhatsApp group.
No, that's fine. Thank
Okay.
you.
Or what I probably will do actually is I will put it onto YouTube and give you a link on the WhatsApp group. That's probably much easier than putting the big video on the WhatsApp group.
Okay, that's
Okay.
also fine.
Thank you.
Much.
Thank you. Okay. Cheers.
Bye.
Have a good
You,
evening.
God bless you. Bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.